Hello everyone, welcome again to my channel. Thanks for clicking on this video. I hope you are doing well. So as you can see, we are still talking about this advanced grammar lesson, which is inversion. So in the previous episode number 1, we talked about inversion related to when we have expressions with neither, nor, or so. Today we are going to see inversion with other expressions, and as you can see here, we have expressions with not, expressions with only, and expressions with no. So these are expressions that we are going to see, and the first idea that you have to keep in mind before we talk about this thing, this is something that we have also talked about before, is that inversion is when we change the order of the normal sentence. So we have subject, verb, object. In inversion, we inverse the subject and the verb, or technically, specifically, precisely, we can say when we inverse the auxiliary and the subject, the auxiliary of the verb, not the main verb or the principal verb. All right, so this is the idea of inversion in general. So as I said, we are going to see inversion with such expressions. So when these expressions come at the beginning of the sentence, for sure, we have to inverse. We have to apply inversion. But what you will be learning here is not only using inversion or inversing the subject and the verb when we have such expressions in the beginning, but also you will learn in which clause we have to apply inversion. In number 1 or number 2. Number 1 or number 2. This is very, very crucial. Now, another thing that I'd like you to keep in mind is this is what we are going to see in these sentences. These expressions are not always used in the beginning of the sentence, but they can also be used in the middle of the sentence. Normal sentences without inversion in the middle of the sentence. This is something that we see here. For example, in number 1, he does not only sing, but he also plays guitar. So here we have not only. So not only here in this sentence is not in the beginning, but it is in the middle of the sentence, okay? Another thing, for example, here we have I did not travel until I had enough money. So here we have not until, but here in this example, we have it in the middle of the sentence. So, for example, in the exam, you might be given such sentences and you rewrite them, you rewrite with these words in the beginning, or they might ask you to choose the correct answer, okay? The correct answer. That's why I said before, you have to know in which clause we have to inverse, in number 1 or number 2, because that is very important. Okay, now let's start with number 1, so as we can apply inversion in all these sentences. So in number 1, as I said before, we have not only, doesn't only, so for sure here we have not only. All right, here we have doesn't sing. So the auxiliary verb here is does. So not only does he. So as you can see, there is inversion here. Does he, not he does. Does he. Here we have he does, and here we have does he, inversion. Not only does he sing, so we have to complete. Not only does he sing, but he also plays guitar. He also plays guitar. So as you can see here, we applied inversion in clause number 1. In clause number 1. So for example, this one, inversion here, okay, inversion. So this is inversion. So not only inversion in clause number 1. Not only does he sing, but he also plays guitar, okay? So you can give your own examples and try to apply inversion with not only in the beginning. All right, this is good for practicing. Let's go to number 2. I did not travel until I had enough money. Until I had enough money. So here, as you can see, we have not until. Not until. So we start with not until. Not until. So this is negative expression, for sure the following one is going to be affirmative. Not until I had enough money, clause number one. This is clause number one. Is it, do we have inversion in clause number one? No. So it is in clause number two. Not until I had enough money. So the auxiliary verb here is did travel, and the subject is I. So we are going to inverse the auxiliary and the subject. Did I travel? Did I travel? Did I travel? Full stop. So here again, as you can see, we have inversion of did I. Not until I had enough money did I travel. So this is very essential thing to remember. So in not until, inversion in clause number two. In clause number two. Not until I had enough money, not here inversion, but in the second clause, did I travel. We only played the match after it stopped raining. We only played the match after it stopped raining. Let's see what do we have here. We have only and we have after. So for sure we are going to start this sentence with only after it stopped raining. Only after it stopped raining. This is clause number one. Only after, yeah, clause number one. Do we have inversion? No inversion in number one. So in this clause number two, we played the match. We played the match. And here the verb is played in the past. So the auxiliary, we are not going to inverse played with we, no. So here we need the auxiliary verb of the past simple. What is the auxiliary verb? Is very simply do. In the past is did. So here we are going to inverse did with we. So we say only after it stopped raining did we play the match. Did we play the match? Here, did we, it is inversion and the following verb infinitive because the did is already conjugated. So as I have already told you before, the inversion of the subject and the auxiliary. So here the sentence is in the past simple, the auxiliary verb of the past simple. Did we play the match? So only after it stopped raining did we play the match. All right. So here again, as you see, or as you can see, the inversion with only after, it is in clause number two. So this is inversion in clause number two. Is very essential to remember that, not in number one. You can only get high marks by preparing. You can only get high marks by preparing or by revising. So here we have by, and by is a preposition followed by noun or by the ing, as you can see. Only, and we have by. So we start with only by. Only by. All right. Only by preparing. By what? By preparing. Only by preparing or revising lessons. Only by preparing. Here we have you can get. You can get. So we have the modal verb can functioning as an auxiliary. So we are going to inverse it with you. So here we are going to say you only by preparing can you get high marks. Can you get high marks? Full stop. Even if we have inversion here, we don't put question mark because it is a sentence. So full stop. All right. So as you can see again, only by, the inversion is in clause number two. It is in clause number two. All right. This is very important to know. Let's go to number 5. He only calls me when he needs helps. He only calls me when he needs helps. Here again, we have only and we have when. So the expression is only when. Only when he needs help. Only when he needs help only when he needs help. Here we have he calls. He calls, and this is the present simple. So we need the auxiliary of the present simple. What is the auxiliary verb that we use in present simple? Is very simply do. But here we have he, like here, he does. So the auxiliary verb here is going to be does. So we are not going to inverse he with calls, which is the main verb, but he with the auxiliary, which is does. Okay, so here we have to inverse he with does, and we say does he call infinitive me? Does he call me? So only when he needs help does he call me. So again, here we have inversion, the subject and the auxiliary. Why do we have does here? Very simply because the sentence he only calls me, this is in present simple. So again, only when the inversion in the second clause, inversion in the second clause, as you can see. Let's go to number 6. I would only travel if I had money. I would only travel if I had enough money, or if I had money. This is the same as example number 2. Okay, I would only travel if I had money, because if you don't have money, you cannot travel. Money is very essential. I would only travel if I had money. Here we have only and we have if. All right, so the expression is very simply only if. Only if, all right, only if I had money. If I had money, if I had money, this is clause number 1. Only if I had money. Here we have the subject I, we have word travel. I would travel. So the main verb is travel, and would is a modal verb as an auxiliary in the sentence. So what are we going to do? We are going to inverse subject and the verb, the main verb, no, the subject and the auxiliary. And if we don't have the auxiliary in the sentence, we have to find the auxiliary, like in example number 5, because here we don't have the auxiliary, so we have to find it. If when the sentence is in present simple, the auxiliary verb of the present simple, and when the sentence is in past simple, the auxiliary verb in past simple. So this is what you have to keep in mind. If only I had money, here we have to inverse, as I said before, I and would. So we are going to say would I travel. All right, would I travel? So again, if you can see here, inversion is in number 2. In number 2, inversion here. Okay, inversion in clause number 2, or the second clause. So expressions with only after, only when, only if, only by, always inversion is in the second clause. In the second clause, not like, for example, not until, not like not only. Inversion is in the first clause like this. Okay, so we still have these expressions like under no circumstances, and at no time, in no way, and no sooner than. So these are examples related to the expressions with no. So we have in number 1, I will not give up under any circumstances. I will not give up under any circumstances. So we have here under any circumstances. So for sure we are going to start with under no circumstances. And as you can see, this expression is negative. Okay, is negative, no? So for sure the following, because the verb here is in negative, I will not give up, so negative. So for sure we are going to put it in affirmative, because the expression here is negative. So under no circumstances, here we are going to inverse. We have subject, we have the will is the modal verb, and we have the give up. So what are we going to inverse? Subject with will or subject with give up? For sure we are going to inverse subject with will, because will is an auxiliary in the sentence. So we are going to inverse the subject and the auxiliary. So under no circumstances will I We cannot say will not I, because here the expression is negative. Will I give up? Will I give up? All right, under no circumstances will I give up. So just keep this in mind. When we have expression negative like that, the following, even if in the sentence is negative, will not give up, it becomes affirmative. Okay, let's see number 2. I have never been there. So here, as you can see, negative adverb, which is never. So for sure, when we are rewriting the sentence, we have to change it into positive. Now here we are going to use at no time. Here we have the subject have auxiliary and the verb been, and we have the negative adverb. So as I said before, we have to change it into positive or affirmative. So at no time, we are going to inverse have with I. So we are going to say, at no time have I. Now we need the adverb, positive adverb. So what is the opposite of never is very simply ever. So we can say ever been there. Ever been, this is the main verb, there. Okay? Full stop. At no time have I ever been there. So as you can see, negative, positive. Okay? Inversion, auxiliary, and the subject. Good. All right. So as you can see, So as you can see here, in number 1 and number 2, we have only one clause. Under no circumstances, we have only one clause. At no time, we have only one clause, not two clauses. As soon as I had arrived, I messaged him. Now here we have no sooner, this is the expression. So the following is what? Is I had arrived. So we have subject, we have the auxiliary, and we have the main verb. So for sure, as I said before, we are going to inverse the subject and the auxiliary. And here we have the auxiliary. No sooner had I arrived. Now here the expression, we have to add another one, which is then. Then I messaged him. Then I messaged him. Okay, then I messaged him. So as you can see, here inversion is in the first clause. Here we have inversion in first clause. No sooner had I arrived, then I messaged him. Keep this in mind. All right. Number 4, I don't accept it. We can say I don't accept it like that, or you might find it like I don't accept it anyway. And therefore the expression we are going to start with here is in no way. Here we have subject and we have do, which is the auxiliary, and we have the verb, the main verb accept. So for sure we are going to inverse the subject and the auxiliary, and we say in no way do I accept it. Do I accept it? Okay, so this is the example of in no way. Just keep in mind these expressions are negative expressions. We can also call them negative adverbial. So the following is supposed to be affirmative, even if the main sentence, the sentence is negative. Okay, so you have to keep in mind or bear in mind the place of inversion in first clause or in second clause. And when we are using negative adverbial expressions, for sure the following, what follows is or must be positive or affirmative, just like the examples we have seen here. All right, I hope you find this episode or this lesson easy to understand. If you have any question or suggestion, don't hesitate to let me know. We'll see you in another episode. Have a good time and goodbye.